Welcome to the unknown realms, where we explore the darkest corners of the human imagination. In this episode, we take you to a place where the living and the dead coexist in a never-ending nightmare, the haunted hotel. Brace yourselves for a spine-chilling journey as we delve into the history and the horrors that lurk within these walls. But be warned, once you check in, there's no checking out. So, grab a blanket and a hot drink and get ready for a night of terror. It was supposed to be a relaxing vacation for the family, a chance to escape the stresses of everyday life and spend some quality time together. They had planned for months, eagerly anticipating the trip to the luxurious hotel that promised five-star service and breathtaking views. But as they pulled up to the front entrance, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The hotel was imposing and grand, with its marble columns and ornate carvings. But there was something off about it, something that made the family members feel uneasy. The bellhop greeted them with a smile and took their luggage, leading them through the lobby to the check-in desk. The hotel staff was friendly enough, but their smiles seemed forced, their eyes darting nervously around the room. As they were shown to their room on the top floor, the family members couldn't help but notice the creaking floorboards and the chill in the air. It was as if the hotel was alive, breathing and pulsing with an energy that they couldn't quite comprehend. But they shrugged it off, attributing their unease to the long trip and the unfamiliar surroundings. That night, as they settled into their beds, strange things began to happen. The air grew colder, and the shadows in the room seemed to shift and dance. They heard whispers and murmurs, as if someone was moving just beyond their line of sight. The youngest daughter woke up screaming, saying that she had seen a ghostly figure at the foot of her bed. The family tried to reassure her, telling her that it was just her imagination. But as the night wore on, they all began to feel like they were being watched. They heard footsteps in the hallway, doors opening and closing, and strange scratching sounds coming from the walls. They knew that something was wrong, that the hotel was not what it seemed. The next morning, they went down to breakfast, hoping to forget the previous night's events. But as they sat in the dining room, they noticed that the other guests were behaving oddly. They whispered and glanced nervously over their shoulders, as if they too had experienced something supernatural. The family felt a sense of unease settle over them, as if they were trapped in a nightmare. As the days went on, the haunting grew worse. The family members saw apparitions in the hallways, felt cold spots in the rooms, and heard voices that whispered their names. They tried to leave the hotel, but found that they were unable to do so. Every time they tried to exit the building, they would find themselves back in the same room, as if the hotel itself was preventing them from leaving. Desperate for answers, they began to investigate the hotel's history. They learned that it had been built on the site of an ancient burial ground and that the spirits of the dead had been disturbed by the construction. They also discovered that the hotel had been plagued by tragedy, with numerous guests disappearing or dying under mysterious circumstances. As they delved deeper into the hotel's secrets, the family members found that they were not alone in their quest. Other guests had also experienced the haunting, and together they began to piece together the puzzle of what was really going on. They discovered hidden passages and secret rooms, and uncovered the truth behind the hotel's curse. It was a dark and malevolent force that had taken hold of the hotel, a spirit that fed on fear and misery. It had been trapped within the building for centuries, and now it was using the guests as vessels to spread its influence. The family knew that they had to act fast before it was too late. As I made my way to the hotel's front entrance, the creaking of the wooden floorboards echoed through the halls. I could hear my heart beating faster and faster as I reached for the door handle. It was cold to the touch, and I hesitated for a moment before pushing it open. The lobby was dimly lit, with only a few candles flickering on the front desk. The air was thick with dust, and the wallpaper was peeling off the walls. I couldn't help but feel like I was stepping into a different time. I approached the front desk, and as I did, I heard a faint whisper. I turned around to see if anyone was there, but the lobby was empty. I brushed it off as my imagination and continued to look for the key to my room. As I made my way up the creaky staircase to my room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I turned around to see a figure standing at the end of the hallway, but as I blinked, it vanished. When I finally reached my room, I was relieved to be able to lock the door behind me. But as I lay in bed, I heard the same whispering I heard in the lobby. It was as if someone was standing right beside me, breathing into my ear. The next morning, I decided to explore the hotel. I walked down the hallways, peering into each room as I passed by. Most of them were empty, but a few were still furnished. It was as if the guests had left in a hurry, abandoning their belongings. As I made my way to the end of the hallway, I noticed a door that was slightly ajar. I pushed it open and found myself in a room that was unlike the others. It was fully furnished, with a 4-poster bed and antique furniture. As I walked around the room, I felt a sudden chill in the air. I turned around to see a figure standing in front of me. It was a woman dressed in a flowing white gown. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were hollow. I tried to speak, but no words came out of my mouth. The woman pointed towards the door, and I knew she wanted me to leave. As I walked out of the room, I heard her whispering behind me. It was as if she was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't understand her. For the rest of my stay, I felt like I was being watched. Every time I turned around, I expected to see the woman in the white gown standing behind me. And every night, I heard her whispering in my ear. When it was finally time to check out, I couldn't wait to leave the hotel. As I was walking out the door, I turned around for one last look. That's when I saw her, the woman in the white gown, standing at the end of the hallway. As I reached the 3rd floor, I saw something that made me stop in my tracks. The door to room 308 was slightly ajar, and I could hear faint whispering coming from inside. My heart racing, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was freezing cold, and the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. A figure appeared before me, its face twisted in agony. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure spoke in a ghostly whisper. "Leave this place, or suffer the same fate as I have." I stumbled out of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. As I made my way back to the lobby, I realized that the hotel was truly haunted. The stories were all true. The next morning, I packed my bags and checked out of the hotel. I never looked back, but the memory of that night still haunts me to this day. After that night at the haunted hotel, I became obsessed with the supernatural. I spent countless hours researching ghosts, demons, and other entities that haunted our world. I became a paranormal investigator, determined to uncover the truth behind these mysterious phenomena. One night, several years after my encounter at the haunted hotel, I received a call from a woman who claimed that her home was haunted. She said that strange things were happening in the house at night, and she was terrified. She begged me to come and investigate. I arrived at the woman's house, a small cottage on the outskirts of town, and immediately felt a sense of unease. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and a chill ran down my spine. The woman showed me around the house, pointing out the various rooms where she had experienced strange occurrences. In the master bedroom, she told me that she had seen a figure standing at the foot of the bed. I set up my equipment and began my investigation. As the night wore on, I heard strange noises and felt an oppressive energy in the house. Suddenly, a door slammed shut, and I jumped in fright. I made my way to the room where the door had shut and found that it was locked from the inside. but when I tried to open it, I found that it was stuck fast. I could hear scratching and clawing sounds coming from inside the room. Finally, with a great effort, I managed to force the door open. Inside, I saw a figure standing in the middle of the room. Its back turned to me. It was dressed in old-fashioned clothing, and I could see the outlines of a top hat and a coat. I approached the figure, and it turned around to face me. Its face was twisted in agony, and its eyes burned with a fierce intensity. It spoke to me in a voice that was both guttural and ethereal. "You should not have come here," it said. "This place is cursed, and those who seek to uncover its secrets will suffer the same fate as I." I quickly made my way down the hall, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear the footsteps getting closer and closer, but I couldn't see anyone. Suddenly, I heard a voice whisper in my ear, "Get out!" I spun around, but no one was there. I tried to run, but my feet wouldn't move. It was as if they were rooted to the ground. I heard the voice again, this time louder, "Get out!" And then everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor in a different part of the hotel. My head was pounding, and I had a deep gash on my forehead. I stumbled to my feet and looked around. It was dark, and I couldn't see anything. I fumbled around for my flashlight and turned it on. That's when I saw them. The ghosts. There were dozens of them, floating in the air and staring at me with empty eyes. They didn't say anything, but I could feel their anger and their sadness. I tried to run, but they surrounded me, pushing me back into the corner. I knew I was going to die. Suddenly, I felt something cold wrap around my ankle. I looked down and saw the ghost of a little girl. She was staring up at me with tears in her eyes. I could feel her pain and her sorrow, and I knew that she was the one who had been trying to warn me. I reached down and touched her hand. It was as cold as ice. And then, everything went black again. When I woke up, I was back in my hotel room. It was morning and the sun was shining through the window. I sat up, my head still throbbing with pain. I didn't remember how I had gotten back to my room, but I knew that something had happened. I packed my bags and left the hotel that same day. I never went back. Years later, I heard that the hotel had been shut down. They said that it was haunted by the ghosts of the people who had died there over the years. I knew that they were right. I had seen them with my own eyes. I never forgot that experience, and it changed me in ways that I couldn't explain. I never looked at the world in the same way again. I knew that there were things out there that we couldn't explain, things that we couldn't understand. And I knew that I had been lucky to make it out of that hotel, alive. The end. And that concludes our journey into the haunted hotel. Thank you for joining us on the Unknown Realms. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what other haunted places you want us to explore. Until next time, remember to keep your lights on and your doors locked, because you never know what horrors might be lurking in the darkness. This is the Unknown Realms signing off.